Hey, yo, what the f***? This is a palace right here.
The late night flight is paid for by the following. Hello, I have 3 questions for you. When you're talking NBA with your white coworkers, do you say that Dallas Mavericks point guard Luka Doncic is the best player in the NBA to position yourself as non-threatening in the office? And when black people think that you talk like a white person, do you reply, hey, you would too if you graduated from an HBCU? Are you Rachel Dozer? If you do or are any one of these 3, then you are suffering from the contribution of white privilege. Hi, my name is Nasur Nuru, and if you are looking to go from Wayne Newton to Wayne Brady, please give us a call at 1-800-HELL-NO-CANDIES. That's 1-800-HELL-NO-CANDIES. Give us a call now before you turn into T-Bigs.
It's a bunch of us. I'm a hand in the colony.
Hold on, everybody on their mountain, everybody marching for a young nigga like me to get tsunami on it. I'ma get it, I'ma win a baby. I'll be on my curry till I crash and burn 40 on the tank. Yeah, I'm acting nerdy if it's at the Appalachian to the Appalachian. I'ma do whatever that they take to make a black a nation. Hold on.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Ameerah, and this is When Women Speak. We have a phenomenal lineup for you this evening. The ladies are lining up in the VIP room, all ready to go. So how about if we just start this show this evening? I was spent from the rib of Adam. Therefore, straightening me means to break me, but you'll try. I might be like Queen Nzinga, sending my arrows to pierce souls and gather up the remains, for I am a gatherer. And you be a hunter. You are relentless in trying to make me your prey. And when we pray together, you be soothed by my tongue. My tongue is as sharp as spikes, but wet and soft to you. It be a comforter. He sent me to the world to support backs. She to nurture loves. She attracts fairies from fairy tales and wraps her arms around worlds, proving God chose her because this is not a job for the meek. And I say to you, Marhaba, welcome to When Women Speak.
Should you live? Or should you die? No tears from these eyes shall cry. I know legacies. I bent at towering, bending trees, resistant to my spreading legs, birthing you into tough black mud so your melanin clung and smeared in captured spaces left bright by sun, untouched. You, my son, I breathed into your soul, strength and breath and life and legacies of short existences while ancestors held you down so that you would not drown in this life. They call them kings, yet they strangle them with rings as streets grab your ankles as you track through jungles just to make it home. And the hunters draw their bows and strike limbs through shouts of Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, but you matter to me. That color passed on legacies of blackness, my favorite color it used to be. I fold my black dress, stroking it gently with soft, callous, cushioned hands. Palms up in prayer, matching garments with veils, waiting to cover whales. Your color be white so angels can find you and carry you through the night. And my eyes don't close as long as you are out there. Black mothers, your sons through tats and war scars, their hours don't martyr your love, send them forth and above. They deserve life, legacy torn, legacies torn, legacies. You cannot have my king. I refuse to sing songs of sorrow. Son, if you make it not through the valley, fear not, I will stand tearless at the rally, spear in hand. No fear, trigger on the spot, and no fear in my heart. I planned this for some time. What?
She is a New Jersey educator, poet, photographer, and author of the book Breathing Through Concrete. You can also catch her When People Speak events streaming live on Facebook and the YouTube channel When People Speak every month, when herself and other poets breathe life pieces into your heart. She is known by famed Dr. Zain Abdullah as a capturer of pain, hope, more pain, and the yearning of desire. This is Sister Ameerah Shabazz-Bilal, and thank you for being on with us. I need to start the show.
I just want to kind of get an idea of, with everything that's going on in the world and all of the things that you have going on, where are you finding your creativity?
Well, it's very nice to be on your program, Hanif and Naz. I want to just thank you, first of all, for having me. And the question is, where am I finding my inspiration for creativity? The response for me is when God decided to shut things down. I'm wondering who wouldn't find the moments for the creative aspects, meaning we were always asking for time. If I had time, I'd do this. If I had time, I'd do that. And here we are given that. We're given just that, the time. So the inspiration came from having those moments, viewing what was going on around me, being in volatile situations with injustices amongst our people, Black Lives Matter, finding COVID impossible at times, losing family members, losing friends, having friends that have to work in the medical field, and also friends who are actually morticians that were reporting back that they were overloaded with the deaths of people, and everyone is knowing someone that has had COVID and in most cases have passed away. So the inspiration comes from the pain and having to live with that knowledge that we're not in control. We're not in control of anything. And as always, we can only reflect and have control over what we do and how we respond. So the response for me was getting deep into this writing, finishing the book, being published on multiple avenues. I have several exhibits during this shutdown time. So it just seems like when one door closed, another one opened in terms of that creative world. And I'm extremely grateful.
Absolutely. And then in that, whole process of you seeing the injustices that's going on with us as a people in general, I'm quite sure that the persistent injustices that affect our sisters and our women, that's where you kind of pull this When Women Speaks initiative together?
Well, actually, the platform for When Women Speak was in existence prior to COVID shutdown, and it was birthed out of the need to have a safe space to showcase women, empower women, and just make it a comfortable environment for women who are out there with the creative nature to just come out and share their work. It's like when you empower women, you empower the world. Mm-hmm. So that space is specifically to make sure that women are nurtured and are getting whatever it is they need to find that voice inside of them and find their purpose sometimes, even for life.
Definitely.
I don't know if that really answered your question, but I can give you the backstory of how When Women Speak began.
Oh, please do. Please do.
So in my college days, I had a friend who was in theatrics, and she was phenomenal. She did a one-woman play about the autobiography or the biography of Jane Pittman. When I tell you this girl was phenomenal, she was phenomenal. But as years had gone by,
life sometimes takes a toll on us, and we have to do what we have to do. I was a poet many, many years later, just doing the circuits in Newark, and she contacted me and said, I'd like to be a part of things, but I don't speak in front of men. So I was like, you were really, really good back in the day when I knew you. And then looking at some of the things that she has gone through in life that kind of like just made her forget who she really was. I just felt moved by having that space available for her. So I said, well, look, I'll tell you what, I host men and women creatives, but I will have a night where there's only women here. There'll be only women on the stage. There'll be only women in the audience. Would you come and share your talent with us? So she said, well, sure. If you can guarantee me that there will be no men present, I definitely would come. Now, remind you, we were already hosting shows. The night that it was closed to men, there was standing room only.
Wow.
There was nowhere to sit. There was nowhere to stand. There was nowhere to park. The open mic list just kept growing till finally I had to say, look, ladies, we got to go home. So I sat back and I reflected after seeing the outpour by women of all backgrounds.
Right.
I didn't know that it was that important until that night. And that was the birth of When Women Speak. And ever since that night, it has been a program that has set aside safe space for women. We have all women performers. We have all women audience. We have all women vendors. And we host the show in a venue that is owned and operated by women.
How do you envision men supporting that movement?
I don't know how this is going to come off, but I'm just going to say it. We don't need it. in terms of When Women Speak, we definitely were in a vein that this is a women's thing. When I tell you brothers have tried to come into the show, the women stop them at the door. What are you doing here? This is for women.
Ameerah, I just have to interject. Do you have a story, a live story that our audience can hear about these men that have, just tried to, I don't mean to use these type of terms, but have broke down barriers, trying to break down barriers just to be in this vicinity?
I can give you names, but I won't.
Okay.
They're prominent in the poetry circuit, but they showed up at the door knowing that it was a women's only venue. They had heard so much about it. And I remember before COVID, it was closed, meaning we weren't streaming live on Facebook. You might get clippings of videos of women performing, but you would never get the whole show shown out to the public like that because it was a space for women. And I was very selective about what pieces I allowed to be videoed and put on YouTube. So they would come to the door and it's like, can I buy a ticket? And the bouncers at the door were like, no, unless you come here in a kimar or a wig and a skirt, you can't come in, bro. So like at least 3 or 4. And then we had instances where men were standing outside, just counting the women. Couldn't believe that there's every single show, standing room only. There was no space once the program got started. So this one time, because there are a few male poets that I absolutely love.
Right.
I wanted them to come and I wanted the women to experience what it felt like to hear real men, quote, speak and to be poetic and to do the romance thing, which I think is kind of lost in some of the culture today. Like from my time, our music was all about, you better woo this woman if you want her on your arm.
That's right.
It's kind of a little bit different now.
No, woo is definitely much different than the woo back then.
Woo is definitely different. And we need to start thinking about ourselves differently. So this is one of the other purposes for When Women Speak. So this February, Black History Month, Valentine's Day, which I do not celebrate, but however, love is in the air. I chose that month for the men to do the show. So this meant that I picked prominent poets that when you hear them speak, your mouth is open, your mind is open, your heart is open, and it's like, wow, 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 wow. They were lined up, the brothers, to come in, and that night they were performing and the women were to just absorb and just be wooed by the poetry being performed by the brothers. Nobody came. The place was empty. No tickets sold. There, of course, there were like maybe 10 people there. When I'm telling you that each and every other program, there was no space, no seat, no standing room. This particular night when the brothers came out to do their poetry, there was no one. The women just felt that when we say when women speak, that's what we wanted. And I learned the lesson that night that when something isn't broke, maybe it's not such a good idea to fix it, no matter how I felt about these brothers that were coming with their A game, because they were definitely excellent poets. I felt that the women lost out, but this is a platform and it does exactly what it needs to do. It's a support for women. Now that it's virtual, it streams live on Facebook, so anybody can be in the audience. And this is also useful because now the brothers got to see that this was not a meeting of the he-man or he-she man-haters club. Right. These were real voices, real hearts, real women speaking truths. And they were able now to partake in what happens in the venue for When Women Speak now that it's live on Facebook. So there you have it. That's how When Women Speak was birthed.
Phenomenal. So basically we just gotta mind our business and support from afar, but
wait, you can buy a ticket.
Okay.
That's part of my marketing plan. Brothers, buy tickets for your women.
Okay. All right. I'm definitely.
Want a woman, buy a ticket. She'll be your woman when she come out. That's for sure.
You know
Absolutely.
What? I like your style. I don't even know you because that is exactly what I told Rita, which is one of the poets that have been, at your events. Yeah. And she was talking about that. She was like, I don't understand why these men are pushing themselves so hard to be a part of this event. I said, let me tell you something. I'm not saying that I'm the champion of women or I'm the best man, but I'm pretty sure if one of those women would ever give me the privilege to have their time, I have no problem with waiting till after the event is over and we can hang out after. I wouldn't just do that. I wouldn't push myself. I wouldn't make it that serious, but I would definitely buy 2 or 3 tickets for her and her friends for them to come. Definitely.
She would love you forever. There's another thing you can do. We can have roses at the desk when they come in. What's your name? Angela? Oh, Angela, this is from Brother Nas. This is from Brother Hanif. This rose is for you, sis.
I like that. I love that.
Imagine the reward you would get for that.
Let's go. Late Night Flight is donating roses to the next event.
You already know. I was just, 3 bouquets. 3 bouquets is going down for him. It's going down. We got another question, right, Hanif, about the poem?
Yeah, so Sister Ameerah, you're a poet in your own right. And I was trying to do my little research and background information on you before the interview. And came across a mutual friend. You were on the Into the Lyrics with God Sent Mayowa. Mm-hmm. And you were discussing your poem, My Son. And I gravitated towards that. And I thought, it was very interesting in the manner where, like, throughout the poem, it's like you're very nurturing and protective of your son. Mm-hmm. And you also came from a perspective where it's like, it's in general. Like, I understand you have your own sons, but you're a mother, like the consummate mother, protector, you know what I'm saying? Mother hen, so to speak. No offense if that's
No, I didn't. None taken.
So, again, I'm always constantly trying to figure out how to be supportive and how, as a man, I can show up to relieve some of the burden for the women in our lives, because we have to work together in some instances. And I feel like, there's a lot of instances where our women are taking on the role of the protector, and it should be us, or we should be stepping up a little bit more. So from that perspective of a mother, how do you feel like men could do a better job at stepping in to relieve some of your worry?
Wow, that's interesting. I've never thought of how that poem came off to a man listening to it, because for sure, every time it's performed, and now that I think back, women come up and women are in the audience with tears in their eyes. And it's women that kind of gravitate and want to hold on to their heart when that particular poem is being recited. And it was never my intention to have it understood that men are not in the picture. It's just the poem speaks of what a Black mother feels when her son, or sons in my case, are not at home and are trying to live regular lives when all around them there's death for them. And death sometimes comes in the color of black, and sometimes it comes in the color of blue, and sometimes it just comes in the color of, I don't know who I am because there's not another Black male out there that looks like me. Now, my sons have a father. Their father has, we're married. We've been married for many, many years. So their father has always been in the home. But it doesn't mean that their friends have the same scenario. And it doesn't mean that the people in the street care whether or not you have a father. So in terms of how can men support this whole legacy, we need to begin to reteach our communities. And reteaching our communities means when you see something, you say something. When you see that brother out there, the young ones, you grab them by the coattail and redirect them when you see there's negative activity. It also means educating yourself so that you can be the man that's in the heart and the mind of the woman that you're trying to pursue, trying to be with, trying to stay with, so that she doesn't feel she has to compensate. And this is something that this is part of our legacy as well, like what we've been given over the years since way back when our people were brought here. Like we were just snatched apart, ripped apart, and women somehow had to carry that. And now it seems like in today's society with relationships, our young women, and I'm very observant to the fact that they are kind of accepting to just about anything. So that means that they will have a man, and that man is a temporary thing. And it doesn't matter if that temporary thing leaves a permanent thing, such as a child. It's they don't look at it like this is long term, like this is a family, like whatever benefits you, bro, benefits me. So then we got to compensate again, and we got to be that parent, that mother, and that father for that child. So my poems kind of tend to speak of these types of relationships and the broken child syndrome or the legacy of Black males. So I'm trying to bring it back to answer your question, what do I think the men can do? And my response, I guess my singular response is be men. And it doesn't matter if it's harmful to the woman to hear that, I'm sorry, women out there, women, feminists, whatever, men need to be in charge and they need to lead. So,
I want to start with one of your excerpts. It's called Breathing. Since you just said to me and Hanif that you want us to speak these words rather than just read it to yourself, I'm going to speak them out loud.
Do it.
Give me some interpretation on what you're talking about. But I do have a question for this one because it's very short. Hanif, you don't know yet, but this breathing one I'm about to read is short. It's almost like a haiku, but check me out. So, breathing. I want my feet to be grounded. I want my roots reclaimed. I want to breathe life again. Do you do yoga?
No. No, I need to do some yoga.
I'm like, what is this? I'll say, I just did some yoga on New Year's Eve. I think she should join me. What is going on?
It's everything that you said. I mean, you can't even find your purpose if any of those things that are spoken about in that very short poem is missing. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that poem definitely is an African-American experience. So it's like, man, we're so disconnected at this point
until we can grab back and find our full purpose of living and life, which includes by demand breathing.
Right. Well, speaking of the African American experience, I want to read this excerpt. You wasn't talking about the African country, and then you said, besides guys from the hood still trying to convince the world of ebonics for the ebony hue, I'm going to take it that the N-word is not something that the African American male should be, or women for that matter, should be spitting now in these days.
I might be sounding like somebody from the dark ages, but I will not ever, ever condone the use of that word.
Right.
The origin, it's just too cutting for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm 60 something at this point. So it's just like, just having lived through enough stuff to know that you can't make that a term of endearment. I don't care if you change it to whatever, however they try to justify it in current culture, it is not okay.
I also was listening to you speak about your thoughts on the use of the word Black. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, was hearing you say like you identify as a human first, and Black kind of takes away something from who we are as a people. So how do you externally identify your pride for Blackness without using the word Black?
I'm so caught up with that. At this point, I can honestly say that I don't have an answer, like, other than I'm human. I can't be Black, because then it confuses me. Like, Black, what is Black? What is and what is it that has ever, even from us, anybody, right, has ever been given in terms of positiveness? If we're talking about it being a color, well, I'm far from being Black. In fact, if I don't open my mouth most of the time, from the way that I dress, people don't necessarily always associate me with being Black. Mm. And then is Black just somebody that's from the African continent, or has ancestry from the African continent, that lives here in the United States, so that you can label them, so that you can determine that they're a subset or a subcategory of something else. So then you leave the American continent, you go to Africa, the continent of Africa, and it's like you don't fit in there either. So like, what the heck is this? I don't even like the term African American. So I'm like all caught up in this.
In Dear Broken Girl, you said, you play with broken toys in a broken world and expect nothing less than perfection. My question to you is, why do young girls and young boys go through that? What's that about?
We're fed that line, and we're fed it, and we swallow it, we chew it up, the whole thing, without ever really thinking about what does that really mean. Case in point, probably both of you, your parents, your teachers said, get good grades in school. When you grow up, you could be president. And
not the president
when
part,
Barack
but definitely
to that seat, everybody's like, well, damn, we can be president. You didn't really believe that, right, although you believed it. So in terms of the world being broken, you know that your existence as an African American, a Black American child in an inner city, because this book is these are stories of children from inner city. You know that your existence isn't in totality like other ethnicities. But if you were able to close your eyes and wish upon a star, or whatever the case may be, it is perfect nonetheless. And you're expecting perfection, like every one of us, parents, grandparents, we're expecting you to come out of that wilderness whole, when we know all along that those are broken pieces. And if you come out, it is by the grace of God. If you come out whole, if you come out in terms of quote unquote successful, an experience that most of our sisters have dealt with. And it is a Me Too kind of poem.
Okay.
Where this young girl, and let me just put out there that most of the characters in the poem are real. They're based on real people.
Right.
This particular child, was molested. And was molested through the whole
time of her early childhood up until 12, 13 years old, and couldn't figure out as an adult why relationships don't work out. Like, there's a line in that poem where she talks about she never kisses ever. There's a
Yeah,
line in
I
that
seen that.
poem that talks about where she never takes off her clothes ever. And in terms of even having relations, it's with the clothes on. And as she traverses through life, nobody ever asks, well, what you dealing like this? Why? And it's the trauma of having been molested by a person that she trusted and not being believed by other adults that she trusted. And so she was just totally broken. And the mother in that poem was broken too, because she knew. She knew the girl was being molested by the husband. And her reaction was, why would he go for a child when he got a woman here?
Damn, not the whole molestation part, huh?
At
My
all.
goodness. Fires of Memories, you said quite clearly, I learned to miss you. Can you describe an experience of how one can gain that acknowledgement of missing someone in a positive manner?
Okay, so that one cuts real, real deep. That poem was written shortly after my mother passed away. And 2 months prior to my mother passing away, I have my children, and I also raised a couple of my nieces and nephews. My nephew was shot and killed in Newark, leaving a gas station. And, everybody saw it, but nobody said anything. So you are on this earth with a soul that is housed in a body that knows other souls. And as you go through your life, you get connected and more rooted with those other souls that you are familiar with. And if one leaves abruptly, it is trauma. It is trauma. And having had somebody succumb to violence, and then having my mother pass away within months, she found out she had cancer, and within 6 months she was gone. And here's the biggest part of all of that. We share the same birthday. So this is 3 years now. I cannot celebrate a birthday. And so you learn to miss people means that you don't give up mourning, but you learn how to survive and not have each and every day, each and every thought guided by the pain of those types of trauma, losing somebody to violence and losing your mom to a situation such as my mother leaving within, that short period of time, and having a great mom, a supportive mom, and a mother who bore me in difficulty.
Right.
Breech birth. That's the first poem. I was born breech birth to a 16-year-old, and on the same day of her birthday. And it's just, you just have to learn how to carry on.
Ameerah, one last question, and we'll get you out of here. Here is my question. You are a photographer as well. Could you give us an image, whether you have this picture already, or maybe it's a picture that you can envision for us in the audience? What would be your picture, whether you have it already in your photo book, or like I said, it could be something that's vivid in the future? What would be your picture of pure utopia in your mind?
Pure utopia is, there's an image. I'm glad that you helped me with that, because I was like struggling. I was like, what am I going to say? There is a photo that probably no one else on earth likes this photo besides me, but it is a moment that somebody caught me reciting a poem. And in that moment, I was in that space and in that time with full emotion on, with the switch on. And my eyes are closed. And if you were to see that picture, it's a poem in itself. And the peace that comes from being able to, number one, find your voice successfully. Number two, share your voice with others. Number three, not be afraid anymore to let somebody know what's on the inside. That is pure paradise.
That's amazing. Ameerah, can you tell everyone how to get your book, just where to find you, all that good stuff?
Sure. The book is on Amazon. Of course, Amazon is like, some relative that takes a percentage, but he's out there if you do not have access to Facebook or Instagram, because I can send you an autographed copy if you would DM me in either one of those social media platforms. Right now, I don't have a website. I'm in the process of redoing it. So the social media platform is where you can find me and get your autographed copy by my inbox. Otherwise, just go ahead to Amazon. It's Breathing Through Concrete by Ameerah Shabazz-Bilal. And those are the ways that right now that you can actually get a copy of this book. It's phenomenal.
Hey, yo, what the f***? This is some pally right here.
I'd like to believe that I love myself and that my intentions are good, but my best interests are no longer my primary priority. My psyche has become my antagonist, the anti-hero to my own healing, and antipsychotic narcotics have been both the source of my struggle as well as my quick fix, though I can't recall how long I've been suffering this way anymore. Memory loss is an underlying consequence of selling the integrity of your conscience for the sake of your dissociated consciousness. In other words, it's difficult to be spiritual and sedated at the same time, but it's also impossible to be manic and mystical simultaneously. So lately, my fundamental concern is finding the most potent prescription to effectively snuff out the fire in my emotions until my heart is too detached to be broken. I just don't want to be hurt again, and I hope that God understands. I never intended to be a pharmaceutical grade junkie. I'm truly conflicted about being dependent on drug dealers with PhDs and the ability to condense my entire existence down to a disordered diagnosis. However, my feeling is it's so much safer to be numb than to be aware of my feelings. And ain't that the story of every addict? I think my therapist is afraid of my presence. Either that or he's drenched in pity. Either way, I don't like how softly he speaks to me. I smell the sour in his sympathy. He always hands me a box of tissues before he even says hello. He knows I'll probably start crying before I can reply. It's not grief that betrays my normally indifferent disposition. My tears are the remnants of exposed exhaustion from bearing a generational burden of psychosis and secrets. I wear my trauma like a scarlet letter, and in my own sadistic way, I've made a martyr of my misery because it's the only thing in my life no one's ever taken from me. These wounds are the only way I know who I am.
Intuition and mind power, dreams of trips to faraway places where dirty jean dreams are flipping on mattresses laced in wonder. Ignorant to the broken glass of doubt on a street corner, I can be a dog. Don't tie me to a pole. Let my bark be a soundtrack added to a more whole you. Acknowledge my music. I turned your green grass blue when you were hanging my brothers. I am a jade bird, deserving every godly ounce of shade. You heard my song when I was perched on your window. Intuition and mind power, dreams of trips to faraway places. Like the core of your vibration pressing on a piece of paper. Adored in a memory, buzzing at the ears in a black and white park called Orange for poets and babies in need of nature, culture, food, a remedy for the enemy, blessings of peace, leaking life force like glue, knotting us together by our survival thrust on a stage in a blue dress, reaching with a cowrie shell eye toward the rest of myself. Herself, himself, yourself, ourselves. 333. I understand who you be. Intuition and mind power. Dreams of trips to faraway places. Places my kitchen can't hold. I am a pen. I have been led by the wind to you. My breath is a cool breeze. My tears are cool rain. My love is a never-ending prayer of hope to whisper your name to the tops of trees. Trees.
Hey, yo, what the This is some palace right here.
Thinking of big dreams, dreaming that maybe I'll live in a big house with white picket fencing. My husband, my daughter, my son, and a dog, showing that I love them all. Really portrait on the wall, nanny waiting on call. But I'm stuck on Mac, still getting to the bag. Homie stand on my lap, 9 to 5 on my back. This shit ain't where it's at. Lord put me on the map, gotta give me a pack. Setting goals on the rack, I do everything but cap. Giving up, what's that? Huh? What do I see when I look in the mirror? Bad shit, any someone that hair. No acne, my skin clear. Check my makeup, fix my hair. Stay blessed cause I'm still here. Ladies hope this shit ain't fair. Fuck it, I don't even care. What do I see when I look in the mirror? Bad shit, any someone that hair. No acne, my skin clear. Check my makeup, fix my hair. Stay blessed cause I'm still here. Ladies hope this shit ain't fair. Fuck it, I don't even care. Cause it's supposed to be worth it. Every day is a mess, but it's supposed to be worth it. I've admitted myself cause I done put the worth in. But the job never done, so I gotta keep working. Yeah. Supposed to be worth it. Every day is a mess, but it's supposed to be worth it. I'll admit myself cause I done put the worth in. But the job never done, so I gotta keep working. Yeah. Maybe I buy a Ferrari. Yeah. Buy a house so big I want to tell the neighbors I'm sorry. Now that's a little kid shit. I'ma buy the hood back plus show hood and that's rich. Have it so fired up they could pay they rent. Give a job to sis, give a job to bro. Giving them hope, figure out how to cope with all the bullshit meeting us at the door. 401 years later, we was killing it and you ruined it. You a goddamn hater. If you in a Kool-Aid, then tell me it was a goddamn flavor. You ain't no goddamn savior. My God's real, not paper. 401 years later, why? Cause it's supposed to be worth it. Every day is a mess, but it's supposed to be worth it. I've admitted myself cause I done put the worth in. But the job never done, so I gotta keep working. Yeah. Supposed to be worth it. Every day is a mess, but it's supposed to be worth it. I'll admit myself cause I done put the worth in. But the job never done, so I gotta keep working. Yeah.
Hey, yo, what the This is some palace right here.